Everybody, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Tammy Talks. Let's get into Power Book 2 Go Season 2, Episode 2, Selfless Acts. Before we get started, if you're brand new to my channel or just a repeat person that is not yet subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Join the party. I'm trying to get to 1,500 subscribers. We're super, super close. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Support. It's free. It's free. Um, let's get into it, y'all. So this episode, I thought this episode was really, really good. To be honest, I've always thought that the writing on Ghost has been better than the writing on the regular Power series, the original. And this episode, I just thought was really, 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 really good. So it starts off with Tariq is having a dream where he is throwing away or debating throwing away his burner phone that is kind of like his only last bit of contact to Tasha into like an incinerator to burn it. So he has Kanan's voice kind of telling him like, do it. You a man, stand on your shit. Like, you don't need to be a mama's boy and all this other stuff. Get rid of it. So he wakes up because there's a pounding at the door in his NYPD, and they're telling him he has to come down to the station. He asks why. They don't tell him. To me, that's not realistic. I would think that they would actually tell him like why he's being taken down to the station, whether it's for questioning or anything else. So I don't know how that works. Thankfully, I have never been, had the police come knocking on my door to take me down anywhere for anything. But I don't know, something about that to me just did not seem realistic. So then we have Tate. We know Rashad Tate he lost the governor race, and he is like trying to find something to do. So he wants to take Sweeney's seat, who is a Democrat in the 12th district. So he goes to Simon Sturm, and he's talking to him because he was hoping that Simon could help him. Whereas Simon is like, no, I want you to come work at Stansfield. You can dig up dirt that way on Sweeney, but if you come do this is like it helps get your name back in the press, and you can build your reputation and build your name back up this way. And he's like, as a tipping point, go look up the canonical studies. Is it canonical? Canonical? I think it's canonical studies program. And he sees a picture of Kerry'S. So Tate is like, oh, okay, maybe I can talk to her. And I'm like, she don't want you. She don't want you. Even though Lorenz Tate is a fine ass man, she don't want you, Rashad, because everybody knows that you're slimy. So Tariq goes down to the station and he sees Big Mama done got a DUI, OWI, and she ended up hitting a car. So a parked car. So Big Mama's down in the holding cell. Has to go to foster care. Big Mama tells him that, she's 62, which is not that old. But Big Mama tells him, she's 62. She's lost her son-in-law, her daughter, her granddaughter. If she want to have a drink, she can. And I'm thinking, you're just saying this, Big Mama, to a boy that has lost both parents and his twin. But okay, go off. Because I was like, you giving this sob story as if Tariq hasn't experienced the same thing with the exact same people that I feel like are a little closer to him. So, but maybe because Tariq killed, I don't know. But I just kind of, Big Mama's rant or Big Mama's theory as to why she can have a drink meant nothing to me. And for her to say that it's Yaz's fault because she was supposed to be at a sleepover, Big Mama, get it together. Get it together. So Tariq Yaz has to go to foster care, and because she can't stay at his dorm with him. Sax comes because Sax is there on behalf of Davis, and he's there to kind of help out in any way he can. Tariq does not trust Sax for good reason. So then we see Kanan at Manny's house. If that man's name is not Manny, y'all let me know. So Kanan was out with that one little rapper guy that's always on Instagram or whatever. He gets a phone call, so he goes to Manny's house. And he's like kind of looking around. Manny creeps up on him. But see, I feel like Monet called him Dante at the end. If I say Manny, y'all know who I mean. So he goes up to Manny's house, and Manny is talking to him about, what you did was stupid. You didn't have to untie that man. Like, who are you trying to impress? And Kane is like, I'm not trying to impress anybody. Like, this is who I am. And he kind of asks him, like, where did you learn it? And he's like, who do you think? From my dad. So he's loading the gun. He's ready to give Kane a try. And then the little rapper man shows up to the house, and Kane is like, he followed me here. So they lit him up. He comes in this man's house, and he's on his phone. This is nice. Like, and almost gives out the address, and Kane is like, the fuck are you doing? So Manny takes him, gets him in a headlock, and starts breaking his fingers one by one, and it's kind of like, I don't trust you. This is what I'm talking about. Knowing your surroundings, keeping an eye on who's doing what around you, and he kicks Kane out, and it's like, I can't trust you just yet. And I'm like, damn. Now everything is, I don't know, everything at least on that end is messed up. So then we see Tariq goes to Davis. So Tariq goes to Davis's office. He wants to talk about Yaz. He doesn't want his sister to be in foster care. And he is complaining that, like, why are you working with Sachs? He's the ops. He's the enemy. I don't trust him. He doesn't have my best interest at heart. I'm your client. And Davis is like, I don't either. I'm here to get paid. But while he's talking to him, Sachs comes in and tells them that he got Big Mama a death ticket so she can go home. She doesn't, and wait for her hearing. She doesn't have to stay in custody. But until that happens, Yaz does have to stay in the foster care. Excuse me, Yaz has to stay in foster care. So, but Davis tells him, like, I can't help you out with family court. You're going to have some more money and then find a really good lawyer that can help you out with that. And really find somebody, a nice high profile person, and that's where Tate is going to come into the story. So Tate gets to work because he is now working at Stansfield. So he gets to work and he goes up, and Kerry is walking him through, and it's like, that's your office, this is what we're going to do. And she's not entertained by it. We do know that Kerry used to be a DA in the prosecutor's office. So I'm sure she knows of Tate. It seemed like he didn't know her, but she knew of him. She was not impressed. She felt like they just took one high profile man and stuck another one into place, because she's like, you're not even a literary teacher, so like, how are you going to, you know what I mean, like, this is not going to work. So he is like, trying to put on the Tate charm, and she is not entertained by it at all. Not at all. So meanwhile, the detective Whitlock is talking. He's like, he shows up at Kerry's sponsor's house, and her sponsor was like, I'm her sponsor. I don't have to tell you nothing. This is client, privilege. Whatever, everything she tells me, stays between me. And I'm like, are they really trying to put this on Kerry? Like, what basis would she have? Like, why would that be the only lead you have? Because you know that they used to sleep together. Like, do you know how many people would just be considered with suspects because they used to sleep with somebody that died? I thought that was really, really weird. Like, and that detective is going so hard about it being Kerry. And I'm like, are you bitter that y'all didn't work out? Like, what is going on? So we see Zeke does a press conference to enter the draft. He's not ready. I feel like what's going to happen is because Monet is pushing him, that boy is going to get in the draft and injure himself. He's going to get in the league and, like, injure himself, I feel like, within the first season. And that NBA career is going to be over. So we see Tariq is telling Brayden that, he has to handle the product himself. He's dealing with some issues with his family. And I feel like Brayden, I feel like Tariq is like, he likes to be very aloof. He doesn't really tell Brayden too much. But I also feel like Brayden expects Tariq to, like, just always be in the dorm at all times. So whenever Tariq is gone, and it's like, my thing is, that he has, these issues going on with his family. You know that he has a little sister. You know that he has like a grandmother that he goes and looks after. I don't understand why Brayden is always, where were you? Like, nigga. He wasn't at the dorm that night. Like, I don't understand that about Brayden. So he tells Brayden, you can handle the product yourself. I trust you. And Brayden is like smiling. Like, Brayden is geeked about that because Brayden is the typical rich, successful white family boy that does not want to be, what his family is affording him the privilege of being. He wants to be a bad boy. So Brayden is geeked at the prospect of, yeah, I get to move all this weight and I'm in charge of it. Geeked. That's what mood like Brayden is on. So we see Diana is telling Monet that she wants to go to school for accounting. She shows her a spreadsheet. She taught herself how to do the accounting. She's like, but if we're going to do this with Zeke, if I go to school and I take accounting, I can know more stuff and be better able to manage his money so he doesn't go broke, right away. But, do a better job at handling his endorsements and all this other stuff. And Monet is like, you're not smart enough to flip between street smarts and school smarts. And I'm wondering, like, why does Monet want to keep them kids so stalled? Like, I would think if y'all are trying to build this empire, if you can send your daughter to school to take one or two classes so she can learn accounting or whatever, like, I don't understand I understand, like, we want to keep everything in the family, but to the point where you don't want them kids to ever, like, you can't teach them everything. Having her go and learn accounting is not a bad idea. So while they're doing that, because they have a man there to look at the windows, remember the windows got shot out before. Um, Monet sees this red car. I don't know cars, but she sees this like red sports car, and it's blasting New Edition. Can You Stand the Rain? And we see Monet get like super like enthralled with it to the point where she runs to the window and she's looking out. And Diana is like, since when do you like love songs? Monet is like super hard all the time. And her daughter's like, since when do you like love songs? Is it because your anniversary with dad? And Monet's like, yeah, my anniversary. And I'm like, something about that didn't seem the best to me. Like, that answer really didn't seem like it was that truthful. So we see Tariq gets to class and he sees Tate. And he was like, what the fuck? So Tate is going to be doing the ethics class. The students were all like, so a politician is going to help us with ethics? Okay. Tate gets up there and was like, yep, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And I said, absolutely not, Tate. Like, he is just always in politician mode. It is so hilarious. So the conversation of class, this episode was they're talking about selfless acts. Can there truly be a selfless act? And the discussion goes from people feeling like, some people feel like there's no true selfless act because even if it benefits you in the end, does that make it any less selfless than if you're doing something? It's not always easy. And Lauren brought up the issue of, parents that give up their lives to save their children. And, we've seen stories and heard stories about, parents dying to save their children's lives. I mean, just recently, Naya Rivera, was that last year? She drowned to save her son's life and put him back on the boat. We've seen stories of, parents that will, save their kids from burning buildings, or what I mean, like, we've just seen so many instances of parents saving their children's lives. That's a selfless act. And I feel like that was like the conversation that they were going through. And then, like, this is always good conversation with them. Light Skin Keisha says something to the effect of, if a selfless act that I do for you benefits me, then I expect you to do, kind of like give and take. And Tate is like, I like how you think. And she said, I like how I think too. I like Light Skin Keisha in this role. It's so much more refreshing seeing her do this than watching her on Love and Hip Hop. I will say that. So Zeke is with Drew, and he's working, showing him like some of the dribbling techniques that he can do to get the strength back in his arm. And it's a real simple dribble, 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 take the ball, shoot it. And Drew's arm is just not there yet, and he gets frustrated because he can't do it on the first try. And Zeke is like, it helped my jumper. You just gotta work on it. That's all. Like, it's not the muscle memory and the stuff going on in your arm is not going to come back right away. It's gonna take time to rehab it. So Drew ends up telling Zeke that Monet is basically having us follow you around. So wherever you go, the whole entire family is gonna go. And Zeke seemed a little irritated by that. He did not seem pleased by that. And I think it's because Zeke kind of knows that Monet is using him now. And I think that's why it was kind of like, oh, so it's not really on some, I want you to do this. But I don't think Zeke anticipated the entire family kind of like going everywhere with him. Because if you do that, this is not his money. This is not his career. Monet is going to keep controlling his life. And I honestly feel like Zeke needs to get away from Monet while he can. So we see Tariq approaches Tate at the end of the class, and he's asking him for help. And Tate was like, I can't help you, but do you know any Westons? And Tariq was like, actually, I do. So they're getting ready to start, trying to see what they can do for each other. But the Detective Whitlock, who is getting on my last, he comes in and he starts talking to Tariq and says that he needs to talk to him about Jabari. So they go to Jabari's office and he's like, do you know anything about what might have happened? We heard that you were in here talking to him, that day. And Tariq is like, no, I don't know anything about his personal life. And it's not going to be anything uncommon for Tariq to be talking to him because he was his student and he was one of his advisees. So it turns into, what do you know about, do you think that Jabari, Professor Reynolds, had any other issues with any other faculty members? And I'm like, they are really trying to put this on Kerry. And it is baffling to me. Like, wow. I guess I'm kind of shocked that she is like number one suspect. So Tariq figures out what they're doing. He's like, yeah, I went to a party and Professor Milgram and Professor Reynolds got into a very heated argument. And I'm like, Tariq, don't throw this lady under the bus. Because she is honestly, Jabari didn't give a damn about you, which we know. But Kerry, has actually felt bad for you. And, she honestly cares about Tariq. I think so. I'm like, you really about to throw her under the bus. All right. Braden is late taking the drugs to Effie, to Yale. And she's like, Tariq only does what he wants to do for himself. And I'm like, this how these are kids. 18, 19-year-old, these are kids because y'all are completely forgetting and just negating the fact that Tariq got real family shit going on. It's not just him not wanting to be around. It's not just him being an ass about stuff. He has real deal family stuff going on. But whatever, y'all. So, as Braden is leaving, Effie gives him a call and tells him that the drugs have been stepped on. Get that ass back out here now. So, Braden is calling Tariq and it's like, you need to answer. Call me now, 911. So, Cain and Tariq meet up, and Cain is still upset that, Ramirez's name has not been listed as like a primary suspect or as the killer. And Tariq is like, they got a suspect. They're going after another professor from the school. I'm working on it. Don't worry about it. While he's talking to Kane, because Kane keeps asking him, who? Tariq is not telling him. Tariq gets all these calls from Braden with the 911 calls and all this other stuff. So he's like, I gotta go. Tariq needs a car because Tariq spends so much of his time running and taking buses and Ubers and however else he is getting around this city. I know Tariq sleeps good at night because he be tired. He gotta be tired because I be tired watching him. We see Sax having a sex scene. And I guess he's sleeping with one of the prosecutors from the DA's office. And she tells him that she is working the Jabari Reynolds case and that they are listing Kerry as a suspect. And because she worked with them, Sax is like, she is not a killer. And the woman tells her, and it's like, tells Sax, well, yeah, but they're also questioning his students, and your ex-client or your ex whatever, Tariq, has also been listed as one of his people. So, if he knows anything about anything, let us know. So we see Tariq goes to Monet's house and asks Diana if she can drive him to New Haven, Connecticut. And she was like, that's like a 2 hour drive, 3 with traffic. My mama is going to kill me. So she eventually does it because she likes Tariq. So while they're on the way up there, Effie and Braden are meeting up with some woman who is trying to drop off the drugs. Come to find out, it's powdered sugar. And so they're like, no, we didn't know this going on. And they get Effie don't get, Braden gets his ass beat. That girl was tagging Braden's ass. So we know Braden can't fight. And Braden and Sucky, they didn't steal his damn car. So they're up there fighting. They get back to the dorm. Tariq and Diana pop up. And Tariq has all these little girls chasing after him. Effie, Lauren, Diana. So when Tariq walks in with Diana, Effie is like, is this your girl? Automatically jealous. And he's like, no, she works with us. So it turns into Diana being like, the drugs that we got were stepped on. Diana taking offense, my mom don't get bad shit like that. So it kind of goes back and forth. And then Effie tells her that the drugs were powdered sugar. Like, literally powdered sugar. So Diana goes back and she tells Monet. And Monet tastes the drugs and she was like, damn, Rico must have did this because he knew I was going to come and try to get this stuff from him. And she was like, guess we just going to bake some cakes. And she's like, cool with it. And I was like, okay, Monet. For whatever reason, Monet was cool with that. So we then see Drew is sitting outside looking at pictures of his little basketball boo. And Kane pulls up and tells him that, he has a connect, he wants to help the family, and he wants to help his brother out. So he takes Drew to a gun range, and he's he's having Drew try to shoot with his right hand, and it's like, why don't you just shoot with your left? So he's kind of teaching him, shoot with the left if you can't shoot with the right. It's not rocket science, my guy. He's like, you don't need like the best mobile skills. You just need to be able to hold the gun straight and aim. So Drew is actually doing that, and that's when he tells Drew that Kane tells Drew that he has a new connect. He wants to help out the family. He knows that they need the help. So Zeke goes over to Kerry's apartment and he kind of breaks up with her. And it's because he's going into the draft, and Zeke is in love with this woman, but he wants to break up with her to kind of break it off now so that he can just move forward and try to get his mind off of her, because he really doesn't want to break up with her. He wants to stay in school because he wants to keep seeing her. So while he leaves, damn Detective Whitlock is outside. So Whitlock shows up to Kerry's apartment, and she is like, Jesus Christ. He mentions, oh, you moved the couch. What was Zeke doing here? And she was like, is that what this is about? Are you mad that somebody else has been in my apartment? So they get into this back and forth with him like yelling at her, saying that she lied. And she was like, why does it matter why he was here? You can talk to my lawyer. So he tells her, well, you don't have to talk, but you're going to damn sure listen. And he runs through all this stuff, and it's like, I know that you had a tumultuous relationship with Jabari. With Jabari. You lied about the timeline. And so Kerry is just finally like, I didn't tell you because I knew that you were going to try to say I killed him. I did not kill him. And I'm like, you can kind of look at her and tell she's not lying. You know what I mean? She's not stuttering. She's very clear in her words. And I get, yes, people can do that and still be lying, but this is grasping at straws. So he asked her, "Where were you that night?" And she said she was here with Zeke. So he was like, "You're at your apartment with a student." And she kind of has to admit yes, which now has brought Zeke into the fold, and it might cost her her job. It might cost her her job. Now she can't even say that she was tutoring him because he's not in her class. So hopefully this doesn't cost Kerry her job. But at the same time, girl, you shouldn't be messing with these kids. Shouldn't be messing with these kids. So we see Drew is talking to Monet, telling her that Cain has a connect. She said that why are you even dealing with him after what happened? They're both they both initially blamed Cain for the shooting. Drew said he's gotten past it, asked his mom why can't she? And she said that she just hasn't gotten past it yet. So she's not for it. Monet is baking a cake with that powdered sugar. She is baking a cake and icing her look like a chocolate bundt cake. So we see Tariq is in Kerry's office. He's talking to her about yes, and I guess trying to see if she can get him some help. Meanwhile, Tate comes in, interrupts her because he's mad that the detectives and the police officers are using Jabari's office as their ground zero, and he said it's a bad look for him. So while he's doing that, Tariq is getting ready to plant that phone into her desk. But then he overhears her saying, Tariq has nothing to do with this. Tariq is a good kid and he has to change. Like, we still see him like open the drawer and get ready to put the phone there. So at this point, we think he's going to plant the phone on her. And I'm like, Tariq, it got your handprints all over it. Come on, y'all. So then we see Monet is celebrating her anniversary with Lorenzo in prison. She's tired of being alone. She said it's the same song and dance every year. She always has on the same tired lingerie. She's lonely. Lorenzo just kind of tells her that if Kane has a connect, use the connect because you can't do this shit all alone. Get over it, basically. So we see Monet goes to Kane, his girlfriend's house, and basically tells him, look, you got to connect. You're going to really help out the family. This is what's going to happen. I'm in charge. We're going to do this shit the way that I want to do it. Tariq is off limits. Y'all are in two different lanes of the business. Stop trying to go after him. Not realizing that Tariq and Kane, have an understanding because they done killed somebody together. So we see Diana goes to Effie, goes up to Yale, and Effie is like, if you came up here to fight, girl, let's do it. And Diana was like, I'm not on it. I'm on some business. She wants to know how does Effie manage going to school and moving weight because she wants to do it too. And Effie tells her, like, your mama ain't gonna let you do that. Diana tells her she don't have to know. So what we're seeing is that Diana is probably going to sneak and probably try to go to school that way while still doing what she needs to do for the business. So Effie tells her, you need to think about who had the most to gain from stepping on your drugs. Who had the most to gain from swapping stuff out like that. And that's when the wheels start turning with Diana. And that's when I got the wheels start turning for me. And I was like, oh shit, Kane did something to the drugs. Makes sense. So we see that Kane goes back to Manny, Dante, whatever his name is. I'll find out by next episode. And has all the bricks and tells him that I got these bricks. The people that I swapped it from, I made them feel like they need you now. And Manny is like, you took it from your mama? You stole from your family? He's like, no, I created an opportunity for them. And I said, damn, when you put it like that, it sounds good, but no, you stole and crushed your mama. You stole and crushed your mama, no matter how you try to put it. So then we see Sachs tells Davis that Tariq might be involved in another murder. And the suspect right now in Jabari Reynolds' case is Kerry. And Davis kind of makes a face because Davis clearly he clearly knows her, and he made a face as if like he knows her, they're friends, they were past lovers, something to that effect. So we find out that Tariq did not plant that phone because we see Kerry leaving for the night, and she opens the drawer and the phone isn't there. Tate brought his ass in there and kind of wanted to like invite her out for drinks, and she looked at him like, "Nigga, please." I feel like Tate is going like Tate to me is the comic relief of this season so far because he is clowning every episode. So Tariq goes to the bonfire where Braden is having his initiation. Braden is look like he's becoming a Kappa. There's like some other type of party going on there. And he takes the SIM card, breaks it in half, tosses it into the fire, and tosses the phone into the fire as well. So he sees Lauren there, and Lauren, who is like chasing after Tariq, girl, let it go. He's not. While Tariq might like her, I think Tariq likes Diana more. So they decide they're gonna get out of there and go somewhere to hang out, the two of them. So Kane comes back to the family dinner, and Diana is like, "What is he doing here?" Drew is happy because he's like, "Yeah, welcome back." Um, Monet tells him to sit down, have some dinner, and join the family. And Diana is side eyeing her brother because she's thinking about what Effie told her, and if the wheels are turning for her, all of a sudden now, um, the connect gets messed up, the drugs are stepped on, we had this big situation. Kane all of a sudden finds us a new distro, and now he's back in the family. Kane had the most to gain from the situation. So we see Lauren and Tariq are on top of a building. Lauren said that her brother used to pick the lock and go up there. You can see like the city. It's like a dope little spot to go kick it with, chill on. So they start kissing, and as usual, as they are kissing, Tariq gets a phone call. Tariq takes the phone calls from Diana, and it's Diana telling him that Monet was super mad at the about the drugs, and that they got new product, and that he has to find somewhere to keep it safe. He goes back to Lauren. Lauren is like, anytime we are like in the moment, things are going well, you find a way to get distracted. So she gets mad and she leaves. Tariq looks around and it's like, cool, I got the perfect spot to keep everything in. So they're going to start using that top spot to hide the drugs in. What's going to happen is Lauren is going to find the damn drugs, and it's going to be a big situation. Or Lauren is actually going to get involved somehow into the mess. So Davis goes to Kerry's house. And Kerry is like, Lord have mercy. She can't have a moment's rest to sit down and unwind with a glass of wine because it is always somebody coming up to her door. That is the third person that she has slept with, seemingly, that has come up to her door in that same day. So Davis comes up. He looks like he's kind of a little drunk. He's a little tipsy. And she was like, I see you don't have your ring on. I'm not in the mood for this. And he tells her, I want to help you. She said, I don't want your help. And he's like, but you need it. But she pushes him out the door. And so I'm wondering if Davis is going to actually represent her, or if it's going to be some type of conflict of interest. So we see Zeke is having sex with some little white girl from school. While he's having sex, we see Kerry is calling him. Remember earlier when Kerry was talking to Professor Detective Whitlock, he told her that he was going to contact Zeke to corroborate their story, and she bet not get to Zeke and try to influence him to lie about her. So while he's having sex, that girl is talking about you're going to be in the NBA and naming all these teams. When they're done, police are knocking on the door. Professor, Detective Whitlock busts into the room and tells Zeke he needs to put some clothes on and come on down to the station because he needs to talk. This white girl pulls out the phone and is recording, talking about some, don't touch him, don't touch him. Meanwhile, she's recording him being led out by a detective. And then she looks at the phone and smiles. So this is now, more than likely, going to get on the internet, and this is going to really ruin Zeke's chances, I think, of, placing high enough in the draft. So then we see Monet is back at the house. Actually, after the dinner, I'll say this. So after the while they were all having dinner, when Kane came back to the house, um Monet heard like that car again with the music playing. The same "Can You Stand the Rain," and then she heard like some garbage cans get knocked over. So when she goes out there, she sees the garbage cans knocked over. So then later we see her meeting up with, I call him Manny, she called him Dante. One of us is right. But she met up with him, and apparently that has always been his signal to her. So whenever she was hearing "Can You Stand the Rain," it was really Manny like sending a signal to Monet, like, this is our sign that, like, it's like the precursor, the build up to we need to talk. So they meet in front of Junior's, which apparently used to be their spot, and they go way back because he mentions that he used to play that music and do that stuff, and her father didn't like it. So he gives her his card so they can talk, and I'm wondering if one, they're about to partner up, distro connect wise. I'm wondering if she's gonna end up getting with him now, and if she's gonna wonder if she's gonna end up getting with Manny or getting with Dante now, and that's how she's gonna end up breaking away from Lorenzo. I thought it was a very, very good episode, y'all. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, thumbs up the video. Hop down in the comments. Let's talk about this, y'all. This was Power Book 2, Season 2, Episode 2, Selfless Acts.